right, hello and welcome to another of our To High School and Beyond videos where we interview folks from the community about what they do for a living and let them share their wisdom and insight on that career path and maybe talk a little bit about what you as students could be doing to get ready for a similar career. I'm joined today by Mr. Shawn Mull, who works at CVCC in the Automotive Systems Technology Department. Shawn, thank you for being here with us today and sharing with students.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. So, yeah, like Josh says, I am a department head of Automotive Systems Technology here at Catawba Valley Community College. I think I've worked here a total of about 13 years. Spent about 30 years total in the industry. So that's pretty indicative of what you'll find with people that are in my field of work, I guess you could say. My other instructors here have similar experience. We've got a couple of them that have been doing it a little longer. A wealth of experience to share in our department here at the college.
It sounds like it. We're going to go through a couple questions for you today, and some of these are questions that we ask all of our guests on the videos, and some of them were actually submitted by students. So the first one up is just, how did you discover your passion for cars, for automotive systems?
It started relatively early in life. My dad was kind of a car guy, and as I was growing up, my older brother was pretty big into cars and stuff. I had some uncles that were into it, had a lot of influence from those guys. None of them ever really did it for a living, but we played around with like old muscle cars, Impalas, Chevelles, things of that nature, old trucks. And so that's what I grew up in. And then whenever it was time for me to make a decision of what to do for a career, honestly, I did not know what else to do. That was the only thing I knew, and I enjoyed it, so that's the direction that I went.
So it sounds like you did it a lot as a kid, just as a hobby, hanging out with family and things. Once you decided to go into it as a career, what kind of training and education did you need to go to move forward?
I walked into a community college at about 17 years old, and I bounced off of buildings basically till I got to the right place. And basically, I was just walking in and say, "Hey, I want to sign up for automotive classes." I did not know anything else other than that. And when I finally got to the right building and the right people, they asked me, they said, "Do you want to be a diploma student or do you want to be an associate degree?" And I was like, "I don't know." So they explained to me, they said associate degree would probably be better for you later in life. You know, it may not matter as much starting out, but in the future, you may be glad that you did that. That's the route I went, and I still remember that lady to this day that led me down that path. She was correct, and I thank her every day. So I got an associate degree at a community college and did what we called co-op then, which is now work-based learning, while I was in college. So I worked and was able to make some money, but also was going to classes too. And then the place that I did my co-op was actually the place that I spent the majority of my career as a technician. I think I worked there a total of 13 years. So that's how the co-op or work-based learning experience worked for me. The other thing I really liked about that as well is I was able to get exposure not just at the college for every area of the automobile, but also at the dealer. So by the time I finished, I had a very good understanding of automotive systems.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good opportunity to be taking those classes and also working on site at the same time.
Exactly. So if a student is able to do that, I recommend that, which they offer that at the school here as well. You know, of course, after the students finish high school and they want to pursue this as a full-blown career.
So what are the best and worst parts of the job? And that could be either the automotive industry itself or teaching the automotive classes.
I'll try to hit on both of those. Starting out as a technician, obviously it's not easy. So getting started in the industry can be difficult because there's so much to learn. But you know, if you weather that storm, it will pay off definitely in the end. So you know, getting started in the industry, I guess, is the most difficult part, trying to understand everything because there's so many systems that you have to understand. But like I say, as a technician, after that, if you really enjoy working on cars, you're probably going to do pretty good. I guess the only other negative would be, you know, you're always on a time crunch because you have customers who desperately need their car back. So you work under some pressure as far as time constraints are concerned. But like I say, if you enjoy working on cars, you get good at it. That's not very difficult. In my current role as department head, there's very good parts of it. I guess the biggest part would be being able to help people and being able to get people started in the industry that I've had so much time in and have enjoyed being a part of. So there's that. I still get to work with cars, not near as much as I used to, unfortunately, but that's part of the game. The part that I dislike the most currently probably is with my situation. I got a lot of paperwork to keep up with, so way more than I ever anticipated. Like I say, it's another necessary evil that you have to do. But if I had a negative to it, that would be it. But I think the biggest thing is being able to help others. So seeing people see that light go off with the students when they start to understand something, or see them go off and be successful, or talk to them after they've been out in the industry for 10 years and they're making more money than I ever did, and things of that nature. And yes, that's happened quite a few times. So, we have made much better technicians than I ever was, and I'm not afraid to say that. So that feels pretty good too.
I bet it does. I bet it does. So you mentioned loving to work on cars, and if you have that passion for cars, you'll be okay in the industry, right? What are your passions? What are your top three favorite cars that you have either worked on before or would love to work on if you had the chance?
I tend to be an old school guy, unfortunately. So for the guys that are into the latest technology, they may not enjoy this answer as much. Now, I do have a tremendous amount of respect for what's out there today, and obviously, I have to know how to repair the newer vehicles and things of that nature. And like I say, definitely appreciate the technology and do find it interesting. But as far as I'm concerned, the kind of cars I like to work on are typically older cars, customs, hot rods. I've got a couple muscle car era stuff. That's what I kind of grew up on. But customs and hot rods, and I'm starting to lean toward having an interest in possibly working on some exotic stuff, especially older exotic stuff. For some reason, as I've gotten older, that's become more of an interest. I don't really know why. It just is.
That's fair. That's fair. So you also mentioned having been in the industry for, I think you said 30 years, and having students who have gone on to make better money than you did when you were in that role.
Yeah.
One of our students asked, is automotive work long-term and stable? Can you speak to that a little bit?
This has always been stable. Everybody has to have a car, and most families have more than one car. We've got, in my family, I've got a wife and two kids, and I think we have about 9 or 10 cars, which we have more than the average bear, I'll be honest. But most people have at least 2 or 3 cars. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs them to to operate. What we have currently is a technician shortage, and it is a much bigger problem than I realized. Every shop or dealer, independent, whoever that I talk to, are in desperate need of technicians currently. It's getting to the point to where some of these businesses are coming here and are actually doing presentations to the student, talking about how good their benefits are, how good it is to come work for them, and actually talking about years down the road and wanting to have long-term relationships with these students. So they're wanting to get these guys while they're young. They want them to have the soft skills, and they also want them to have, obviously, mechanical aptitude. And we give them the training, the basic training, then they go to work at whatever business it is, and they grow them in the way that they do things. So like, say, for instance, they go to work at a Chevrolet dealer, they get Chevrolet training, and they learn the Chevrolet way, or learn that particular business's way of doing business. And I have seen that blossom myself with some of my graduates from years ago turn into 15, 20-year careers. Yeah, it is sustainable. The work's there. It's not going away. It's not a business that's going to disappear. You might be working on import cars, but your work is never going to be imported.
That makes sense. You mentioned soft skills and mechanical aptitude. Would you say that those are kind of broad skill sets, right? But
They
what
are.
would you say are the most important skills for working in the automotive industry?
They are, like I say, soft skills, and this is something that that I have heard from the local businesses, especially in the last couple of years. So soft skills, be able to show up to work on time, have a positive attitude, look professional, be professional around people, and things like that, and then of course the mechanical aptitude. That being, you kind of have to have a knack for mechanical things, and you certainly have to have a curiosity of how things work. If you don't possess that, then you may not have the interest to sustain yourself in this industry. But if you got the soft skills and you have the mechanical aptitude, which I believe comes naturally, then you should do well.
That's excellent. Excellent. I appreciate you sharing. And Shawn, we're going to wrap up pretty soon. I
Okay.
so appreciate you being here. Would you have any closing words of advice for students who are maybe looking to get into your program today or just the automotive field in general?
Yeah, be willing to work hard. You got to have a very strong work ethic and get all the education you can as early in life as you can. I was able to do certain jobs that I never even considered doing whenever I was in school myself. So that's why I say get the education that you can early in life. Kind of going back to the story I said earlier about when I was the 17-year-old kid bouncing off of buildings at the campus because I didn't know where to go. I have the job I currently have, and an associate degree was required. And if I would have got the diploma, I would not be sitting where I'm sitting. But also, I worked for Freightliner Corporate a number of years ago as well. And that job was more of a white collar type job. It was technical assistance, dealing with customers, warranty issues, and things of that nature, which is another job that when I was 18 years old, I never thought that I would be doing. Quite frankly, didn't know it existed. And I guess that's the other thing in the automotive industry. A lot of people will go to take a course like ours, get an associate degree, and they spend an entire career as a technician. And there's nothing wrong with that because those guys can make I'm gonna say somewhere around 60,000 a year up into the six-digit range, and I know several guys within a 5 mile radius of me that are making over 100 currently as a technician. But for a good many of those people, the automotive technician is where they start their career. So they'll start there and then they'll move on into something else automotive related as they go on later in life, and opportunities come available. But I think a lot of that also has to do with your education and of course other things, but education being key. And to be successful in anything, you got to have a strong work ethic. So
Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of giving people the starting point, but there are so many branching opportunities that may come from that.
yeah, there are several. Typically, start off as an automotive technician, but you can later become a service writer, parts specialist, a shop foreman, a service manager, parts and service director, and those are jobs, basically at a dealership. I've had a couple of students that went on to run their own businesses. I've got one guy that runs a tuning shop, and he's been very successful. So that's another option. If you get into the manufacturer realm like I did, you could be an assembly line technician. You can work in customer service, technical assistance, a warranty administrator, field service engineer, district service manager. It just goes on. And that's just starting off taking our program. You really don't know where it's going to lead you next. Honestly, when I was 18 years old, I figured I was just going to be a technician my entire career, and I was fine with that. But as I worked for several years, I started to see other ways I could go if I chose to, and I decided to take some of those options and see where they led, and I'm glad I did.
It sounds like you've got an amazing setup, an amazing program over there. I've enjoyed talking to you. I've appreciated your insight into the industry. A lot that I didn't know, and a lot that I'm sure our students didn't know either. And I'm just grateful that you took the time to spend with us today. And we thank you for being here.
Not a problem. I appreciate you allowing me to come on today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anytime.